You're driving down a deserted highway, the only sound being the soft hum of your engine and the creaks of the old car. Suddenly, you notice a figure on the side of the road, but as you approach, it vanishes into the darkness. This is the haunting image that has stayed with investigators for decades, a reminder of the mysterious disappearance of a 27-year-old woman in 1973. You find yourself in the sweltering summer of 1973, the air thick with the smell of blooming flowers and fresh-cut grass. A 27-year-old woman, full of life and promise, has just disappeared, leaving behind only a faint trail of clues. As you step into the shoes of the investigators, you begin to unravel the mystery of her vanishing. You visit the small town where she was last seen, talking to the locals and gathering information. The smell of freshly brewed coffee wafts through the air as you sit in the local diner, listening to the whispers of the townspeople. They speak of a woman who was kind and gentle, with a bright smile that could light up a room. But as the days turn into weeks, and the weeks into months, the trail goes cold, and the case becomes a frustrating enigma. You can't help but feel a sense of desperation creeping in, as if the clock is ticking away, and the truth is slipping further and further into the darkness. You're standing in a dusty, abandoned field, the sun beating down on your skin as you gaze out at the desolate landscape. The only sound is the rustling of the wind through the tall grass, and the occasional chirp of a bird. Suddenly, a detective approaches you, his face etched with a mixture of sadness and determination. He tells you that after 53 long years, the remains of the missing woman have been found, buried deep in the Texas soil. As you listen to the details of the discovery, you can't help but feel a sense of eeriness, as if the ghosts of the past are finally beginning to stir. The air is thick with the scent of decay and neglect, and you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched by unseen eyes. You begin to wonder, what secrets did this woman take to her grave, and what does her discovery mean for the investigation? You find yourself in a cramped, dimly lit room, surrounded by dusty files and faded photographs. The air is thick with the smell of old paper and stale air, and the only sound is the creaking of the old wooden desk. As you delve deeper into the case, you begin to unravel the threads of a complex web of clues and suspects. You talk to the detectives who worked on the case, listening to their stories of frustration and determination. You pore over the evidence, looking for any hint of what might have happened to the missing woman. The more you learn, the more you realize that nothing is as it seems, and that the truth is hidden behind a veil of secrets and lies. You start to feel like a detective yourself, following the trail of breadcrumbs, and piecing together the puzzle of the woman's disappearance. But as you get closer to the truth, you can't shake the feeling that you're being led astray, and that the real culprit is still out there, watching and waiting. You're sitting in a cold, sterile room, surrounded by the stark reality of the investigation. The detective who discovered the woman's remains is sitting across from you, his eyes locked on yours, as he reveals a shocking twist. The woman's death, it turns out, was not just a random act of violence, but a calculated and sinister crime. As you listen to the details, you feel like you've been punched in the gut, your breath knocked out of you. The room begins to spin, and you feel like you're falling down a rabbit hole, with no safety net to catch you. You start to question everything you thought you knew about the case, and the more you learn, the more you realize that nothing is as it seems. The detective's words hang in the air like a challenge, daring you to piece together the truth, and to confront the darkness that lurks beneath the surface. You're standing in a quiet, suburban neighborhood, the sun shining down on your face, as you gaze out at the peaceful landscape. But as you look closer, you notice the subtle signs of trauma and pain, the scars that still linger long after the wound has healed. The family of the missing woman is finally able to find closure, but the pain of their loss will never fully heal. As you talk to them, you realize that the impact of the crime goes far beyond the individual, and that the ripples of pain and suffering can be felt for generations to come. You start to feel a sense of sadness and empathy, as you realize that the true cost of the crime is not just the life that was lost, but the lives that were forever changed. The smell of fresh-cut grass and blooming flowers is a stark contrast to the darkness that lurks beneath the surface, and you can't help but wonder, what does the future hold for those who are left behind? You're sitting in a dark, quiet room, surrounded by the shadows of the past. The case of the missing woman is finally closed, but the questions still linger. As you look back on the investigation, you realize that the truth is always more complex and more sinister than you ever could have imagined. The woman's disappearance was not just a random act of violence, but a calculated and sinister crime, one that was hidden behind a veil of secrets and lies. As you reflect on the case, you start to feel a sense of unease, a sense that the darkness that lurks beneath the surface is still out there, waiting to strike. The smell of old books and dust hangs in the air, and you can't help but wonder, what other secrets are still hidden, waiting to be uncovered? The silence is oppressive, and you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched, that the ghosts of the past are still lurking in the shadows, waiting to be discovered. As you finish this journey into the heart of darkness, you can't help but feel a sense of unease, a sense that the truth is still out there, waiting to be uncovered. So, we ask you, what do you think really happened to the missing woman? Share your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories. The darkness is always lurking, just beneath the surface, waiting to be exposed. Will you be the one to uncover the truth, or will you succumb to the shadows? The choice is yours, but be warned, once you start down this path, there's no turning back.